Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a good time with your family and friends and liking these sessions. In today's video on Azure, I'm here to discuss what regulatory compliance standards are, why it is beneficial in any cloud implementation, and how Azure Defender for Cloud can help us in order to achieve these standards. So let's start with these basic, what these standards are. So in simple term, a compliance standard is nothing but certain rules which a country, an organization, or maybe a professional association will enforce to make sure you're operating or your organization is operating their business ethically, safely, and as per law. Now, why that becomes important with any IT implementation and specifically in cloud? As you know, when it comes to cloud, the only way you can access or interact with these services is through infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. We typically don't have access to the physical data center. It means that as an IT administrator, the responsibility is even more on us to make sure, in case the end customer is asking for these standards to be implemented in our IT solution, we are able to pass that. You might have heard about some common compliance standard. For example, if you're dealing with health industry, you need to be HIPAA compliant. If you're dealing with financial sector, you need to be compliant with payment card industry. I think the latest version is version 4. Or maybe you need to be SAW compliant. Now, as an IT admin, you may or may not know about all these compliance standards. You might have the best of the intention, you might have put all the security solutions in place to make sure that your environment is protected and secured, but you still miss on some of these compliance standards set by these industry. That's where Defender for Cloud will come into play. As from one interface, not only it will assess your environment against these compliance standards, but also give you the remediation option in case you need to fix anything and it's not passing. It will also help you to remediate that. And that's why Defender for Cloud for Azure is very powerful and help you implement these solutions. Let me show you on the Azure portal where you can find this service and what steps you can take in order to implement. So I'm logged on to the Azure portal with my admin credential. I can go and search for Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And I'm on the overview button, and this is a bird's eye view of what's happening in my environment. And you can see that there is a separate tag for regulatory compliance. But you can go specifically under cloud security and go and expand this option. The first thing you want to do is make sure whatever standard against you want your environment to be assessed is added. I can go to manage compliance standard. I can pick the scope. If you have multiple subscription, you can pick the management group. In my case, I only have one subscription. In order to utilize this, you need to have at least one Defender for plan enabled. In my case, I've only have limited resources. I've only enabled for one, as you can see here. And then you can go to the security policy. And here it shows all the different standards which are there, right? In my case, I have specifically enabled for PCI DSS, which as I mentioned, it's a payment card industry, which different credit card companies like Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they adhere to. And I want to make sure my environment is in compliance as per this standard. Now, by default, if you see, Microsoft gives you Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark that is there by default for you, and I will show you on the regulatory compliance portal. But you can go and add as many compliance standard right out of the box from here, and it's going to check for it, right? If you want, optionally, you can also create your own custom standard. I can go to create button and I can give a name, go to next, and I can list the standards against what I want to be assessed for my resources. I can go and check those. And then I can also have the recommendations available too, right? What are the recommendations for this? So this is against creating a custom standard in case there is a requirement for that. But in my case, I don't need to do the one which are there in this demonstration. I'm going to utilize the PCI DSS. That should be good enough for me. So let me just come out of this and go back to the regulatory compliance tab. And you can see that there are 199 assessment out of 206. So if I go and expand this, as I said, Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark is there by default. I get some red cross. It means that it requires my attention, and there are certain green check mark. It means that it is adhering to the standard. Let me expand the network security. And here I have one red cross, which is for secure cloud services with network control. If I go and expand this, I can go specifically why I'm getting this kind of red cross over here. So it's saying that storage account should not use private link connection. Uh, Storage account public access should be disallowed, and storage account should restrict network access, which makes sense. I can go and expand one of them. And not only it showed me that it's not passing that particular standard, but also give me the option to remediate. Now, in this view, it gives me the information about which resource is affected. In this case, it's storage account with the name Bharat SA. I can go and select this, and it gives me one fix click button from here. So I can go and click on the fix button, and I can fix one resource. So let's go and fix it. So remediation is in progress. So that was successful. Not only that, I can also click on the deny button. So what does this is going to do is I can go and pick the scope, any resource that I'm going to create in case it doesn't satisfy that particular requirement. It's not going to let me create that resource. So that option is also there from here. So I can go and change to deny. So that option is also over here. That's how powerful it is. So let me just close this and come out of it. So very similar to that, this by default you get for free with your Defender for Cloud. But I have specifically went inside and enabled the PCI DSS version 4. That's the standard that I have enabled. I just recently enabled it. It might take some time to populate all the information, but let me just give it a refresh and let's see if it is going to give me or has scanned against my resources. Let me just go back again to PCI DSS and it's still loading. Let's give it a minute. And here you go. So my environment was assessed, and again, I got some red check mark, which is asking for my attention. Let me go and expand one of them. And let's go to network access to and from the cardholder data environment is restricted. I can see the resource compliance status is red. I can go and expand this. Now I'm going to refresh this. And again, very similar to the previous view, it is giving me the affected resource that I have. Now I can go and pick one and I can trigger the logic app in order to remediate that. Now in this example, if you can see, I've not configured any logic app. That's why you don't see anything under triggering a logic app. But in case I have any logic app, I can go and trigger that, and that will take care of this compliance standard that I'm not adhering to according to PCI DSS, right? I have this option of exempting this. Let's say, for example, there is a certain standard which I don't need to worry about. I can go and exempt that, and then it won't affect my score under Defender for Cloud. It also give me the information about severity. Is it low, high, medium? And also gives me information about how often it is scanning my environment to make sure that it is compliant. So let me just come out of this. And the another neat thing is I can go and download the report. Let's say uh, the end customer is asking you for a documentation to make sure that whatever environment you have configured is compliant as per this regulatory compliance standard. It's get gives me a one click button. I can download this and I can share. Let me just go and quickly open that up. All right. So this is the documentation that is part of that download. So this gives me all the details uh, about my environment, right? So this can be handed over to any security admin or any compliance authority which is asking for this kind of documentation. So it gives me the subscription name with my subscription ID. You can see what are the resources which were passed and which were failed. It gives me line by line item of all the resources which are there, and how cool it is to share that with that compliance authority and make sure that my environment is ready as per the compliance, and in case any remediation is required, I can take proper action by looking at this report. So this is how Defender for Cloud can help you, and specifically the regulatory compliance tab, in order to make sure that your IT implementation is as per the law and following all the standard for that particular organization. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.